Kia ora and welcome to the Creative Matters podcast, where we have inspiring conversations with New Zealand artists. I'm your host, Mandy Yarkich. These conversations are intimate, uplifting and insightful. The guests on the show have absolutely enriched my life, and I'm sure their stories will have the same effect on you. Thank you so much for joining me to listen to these amazing people speak about what drives them, the way they work, and their personal takes on life. Jasmine Kroeze is an artist and textile designer living in Papamoa near Mt Maunganui. With a background in the fashion and textile design industry, Jasmine fell into the art world through painting large-scale murals as a passion project, and now she applies the same creative process to her original paintings and digital artworks. Jazz enjoys working with commercial clients and interior and product designers, and she has collaborated with many well-known companies such as Kathmandu and Bolt of Cloth. Her designs have been printed on stationery and textiles, installed in private homes and commercial interiors, and painted on large-scale exterior murals. This is a very, very inspirational story about a motivated, passionate woman who has created a highly successful creative business, as well as a beautiful art practice. We talk about the many ongoing projects she is involved with, from licensing her work and writing and designing an e-book about artists overcoming creative block, to her Etsy interior mock-up store and her reels on Instagram showing examples of ways to encourage play in your creative practice. We talk about how Jazz manages her social media presence so expertly, and how, as a self-confessed introvert, she is so comfortable with videoing herself and creating personal content for her loyal audience. Both Jazz and I buzzed about our chat for some time afterwards, and I'm sure you'll feel the same after listening. Calling Jasmine Kroeze in Papamoa. Good morning, Jazz.
Good morning, Mandy.
It's very lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to chat.
Yeah, me too. And it's lovely actually to see somebody's studio. That's the advantage of Zoom. Yes. So you're in a very busy, productive looking space.
Messy.
And yeah, it looks amazing. So how are you?
I'm good. Yeah, just glad to see the sun shining and in a good space creatively, and I'm happy. It's been a good week.
That's good. And where are the kids at the moment?
Kids are both at daycare today. So it's just nice to have that space with both of them at daycare. I used to feel a little bit guilty about it, but I'm a much better person, much better mum for having just a little bit of space, and also just a bit too ambitious, I think, to be. I expected to be a stay-at-home mum, until they were 5, but that's not me.
No, but you're still there for them. That's the great thing.
Yeah, totally. And they're in not full time, so and for the shorter days. So it's just nice to have that little break and feel like a human being, but also have the flexibility. I work from home, work for myself, so I can shoot out if they're sick, which they constantly seem to be at the moment.
Yes, everybody's had that trouble this winter. It's just been one of those really bad winters for sickness, hasn't it?
Yeah.
In New Zealand anyway, and probably across the world, I imagine. Yeah. So it's an incredibly inspiring story, I think, just looking at all the work that you do and how you managed to kind of get yourself out there in such a fantastic way. And then, all the different things that all the different pies that you have your fingers in is really fascinating and quite inspiring. And you seem like an artist as well as an amazing entrepreneur. So I'm very much looking forward to hearing your story. Where did it all begin for you, Jazz?
Where did it all begin? Great question, and thank you for your lovely words. I guess it started for me at fashion school. I had a few years down here in Tauranga at fashion school, and after I graduated, I went up and worked for Pumpkin Patch in the design room, and that was amazing company to work for, great team, and that's kind of where I learned all the Illustrator, Adobe Suite stuff, all the technical digital side of things, and began my journey with textile design and print design, which I just love doing, and that was kind of the beginning of that. And just the fashion background has always just been really strong, really interesting for me. From when I was little, I was always making clothes for my dolls and pinching mum's sewing machine and getting my brother to step on the pedal to make the sewing machine go while I was up, manoeuvring the fabric.
Cute.
So yeah, just lots of fun, lots of big fashion background. So that's kind of where all the textiles came in. I worked in fashion for, I think, around 12 years. In every facet, in retail and production and design. And the last job I had in fashion was working for a local brand called Nine, and I designed for them for a season, which was an amazing opportunity. And I created one of their bestseller prints, but also one of my favorite prints that I have done to date, which is the one that you liked.
Yes, and that's on the blog post, and that is absolutely stunning. It's like olive green, baby pink, and is it a black or quite a dark color?
Yeah, navy background, and then it's got like bits of black to it as well. It's quite a dark print for winter. Yeah,
it's
beautiful.
So beautiful. And it's on the blog post, and they made that into quite a few different outfits, didn't they? A few different clothing items.
Yes, yeah. They have like a signature print for each of their collections, and then they kind of create everything sort of around that. All the prints kind of have a nod to that. They do like placement prints, all derived from that hero print, which is a great way to do it. It makes a really cohesive collection.
Yeah,
so it's really great to have insights in how to and how they kind of created and designed everything.
Yeah, that's so cool. I just love it. And it would make an amazing artwork as well.
Yes. Yeah, well, you feel like you're wearing a piece of artwork, because I've got one of those pieces like in my wardrobe. Always get compliments whenever I wear it, and I just love that I'm wearing a piece of art, which is beautiful. Yeah,
so cool.
Yeah.
So was your mum encouraging you in that way with sewing, and what were you like as a kid?
So I'm an introvert, which you'll learn about. I'm fairly in the middle of the spectrum of introvert extrovert, but ultimately where I get my energy from is being alone. So you would often find me in my room as a kid, pinching mum's scissors and tape and creating lots of stuff and pinching like rolls from paper towels and like chopping things up and making things, and just really creative, really kind of tactile, hands-on, wanting to make stuff all the time, and sewing. Mum's a sewer. She is also an incredible artist herself. So she's got a watercolor background, loves doing watercolor, really big, beautiful, like macro flowers, very talented. Realism. So my background's very kind of abstract or semi-abstract, and Mum is so like realism based, and she's just turned should probably hate me for saying this, but she turned 70 last year. And so she's just dipping her toes into oils now. And so she's exploring landscapes and still life and things like that. So it's really cool to see her exercising her creativity still as well. So yeah, she's amazing. My opa, my granddad, was also a painter, so kind of come from a line on that side, on my mum's side, very creative. So it was always encouraged, always, nurtured, which I'm so grateful for. And I'm now doing the same with both of our kids, who are very creative already. So yeah.
Oh, that's good. I mean, it's in the genetics, obviously, but yeah, it's so lovely to be able to pass that on, isn't it?
To be able to see, that it's not, I mean, I guess Ivy and Otto are both seeing me be very creative in myself and what I'm doing. Like, they come home from daycare if dad's picking them up and they see me in my studio and I'm painting, covered in paint or whatever. So they're seeing that all the time, but Otto's only almost 1.5, and he will indicate almost every day that he wants to draw, and he'll point and he'll squawk, and until he gets that he's sitting up on the table with Ivy's markers and some paper, and so that he can draw. So it's amazing. It's really cool to see.
That's so great. At high school, were you actually thinking of yourself as an arty creative person, and did you kind of get into that at high school, or were you just not so aware at that point?
I was definitely aware. So I always wanted to be a fashion designer from a very young age, and so I really stepped into that kind of creative arty persona, and I was always on mufti day would always be wearing like crazy weird stuff and like making my own clothes, and because I was still sewing all through high school. I dropped out of the like textile fabric sewing class because it was just too easy. Like, it would take a whole term to make one hoodie and I would make it in a class, so I just decided to do that. Mum would just teach me and help me make stuff at home, and I ended up taking graphics class instead, which I really loved. Very technical, very orderly kind of way, and I kind of thought maybe architecture could be a different option for me if I didn't like fashion. So that was cool to have that kind of technical drawing background, and I still see it coming out in me, and I've realized that's a real personality thing for me too. I am quite orderly, quite strategic and tidy, and tidy is probably not the best word. I arrange things. Like, I quite like my clean lines, and I just like having things, all my ducks in a row. And I think that's personality wise, but also I guess training too.
Yeah, you can definitely see in your art practice where some of those things have come from, and they're still appearing, which is nice.
Yeah, I've got to get out of my head sometimes. I find that's one of my challenges, is to get out of my head. I jump really quickly into the editing phase, and sometimes I jump into that way too soon, whereas I just need to feel that creative flow and then edit later. Yeah, so fashion design was like what I had in my head always. That was what I wanted to do. Didn't see myself ever doing anything else. And then I started my own clothing label after, I don't know, maybe working 7 or 8 years in the industry. And so I gave that a shot for maybe 1 or 2 seasons, and I loved it. However, I realized really quickly that I needed to start outsourcing all the things I liked doing, which were all the hands-on, the pattern making, again, really technical kind of background, disciplined, all the sewing needed to be outsourced because it's so time consuming. And then the design side, which I really loved, was only maybe a month out of a whole 6-month cycle of design and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, what am I doing? I'm creating a label and I'm just doing admin and marketing, and I just was like, I don't want to do this anymore. And this is like my lifelong thing, that I had this vision of like, I'm going to be in fashion my whole entire life. Just all of a sudden ground to a halt. And I'm like, what the heck am I going to do? So I felt really lost. And so I got married fairly young. We were 22, I think. And so my husband's also very creative. And so we kind of talked about it, and we ended up moving to Kathmandu, so in Auckland prior to this. So we moved to a lifestyle block on Kathmandu. I wrapped up at 9 and it all kind of came to an end fairly quickly. They'd offered me a contract in production, but I just didn't really feel like I wanted to go back into that production realm. So I found myself quite quickly like, what am I going to do? Kenrick was very supportive the whole way, and so I wanted to freelance. So just do freelance surface pattern design, which is like the technical term for like textile design, or anything that any pattern that goes on a product. And then realized or found out like the next day that I was pregnant.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, cool, unemployed and pregnant. So, but that's fine. I was obviously excited and a little bit shocked, and we were like, okay, what am I going to do? I don't want to go and get a job now, because I don't know, I wanted to make sure that, we were having a family and I wanted to be there for the family. So how could I make my career work for having a family? And so I decided to go freelance. So I contracted back to 9 actually, and did another print for them the next season, along with a whole bunch of other, avenues that, I wanted to do. Did quite a lot of graphic design, branding work. So not graphic design background. However, I find myself quite good with like playing with fonts and things like that. I did a lot of work at Pumpkin Patch with fonts and creating prints. So that was cool. And then I think the big tipping point for me was I saw a call out from Creative Bay of Plenty on Facebook saying, calling out for artists to paint murals. Actually, stop that. There's one more big aha moment for me, if that's okay.
Sure.
While I was at 9, Kenrick actually bought me a really big piece of plywood, because I'd constantly be saying, I really just want to paint something. I want to paint big, and I just want to do something, just creatively really different. And so he bought me a big piece of plywood as a present and said, there you go, you can paint this. So I went off to Bunnings and bought some like house paint and just kind of smeared some paint around in something super abstract, and just had a lot of fun being hands-on. And from that, realised that, I quite like painting, and it being something that, I hadn't touched for a very long time. And then I saw a call out on Facebook from Creative Bay Plenty for mural artists. And I messaged them and said, hey, I'm super interested. I've never painted a mural before, but I've got a textile background. So I'm used to creating art in, 1.5 metre wide. To go from 1.5 metre wide to 5 metres wide is not that much of a stretch. So I applied my creative process, what I would do for textile design. I applied the same to a mural design. and they took me on board, and I was really lovely. Two really lovely mural artists locally took me under their wings, Shane Walker and Alex McLeod, and they were so lovely and so helpful and really kind of helped me through that whole process, because I was like, how the heck do I get this on the wall, like my design, like how do I do this? Do I grid it? Do I, use a projector? And they told me about all the options I could do. And then they were just like, I'll just freehand it. You'll be right.
Really? How high was it?
I think it was 3.5 meters high. I was 20 weeks pregnant, climbing up a ladder.
Wow. Oh, that's incredible. But you did it.
Yeah. I was so tired. It's such a physical job, painting murals, and to do it while you're pregnant is very, very tiring. So yeah, and I got my parents on board to help me a little bit as well. So they helped me, and Mum especially gave me some tips on, how to paint and what way working from light to dark, so I didn't have to cut in everything. And first one I did is in Tauranga itself, and it's really bright and really intense colours, not my usual colour palette.
Oh, interesting. Oh, well, maybe if you send me that, and I'll put that photo on the blog post as well, so listeners can have a look. Yep. But the second one, anyway, that was very much in line with what you're creating now.
And I think that mural was the one in Steeple Lane in the Mount, and that was for Street Prints Mural Festival. And that was just the kind of like aha moment for me, and my style, I guess, was just creating this beautiful concept, which I used cutout collage to create. And then, I went from A4 size to this massive 9 meter long mural, and I think it was maybe 4 high or something, 4 or 5 meters high. Big. I needed a cherry picker to hop in there.
I love that idea of starting with the collage pieces.
Yeah, and this has been where most of my concepts come from, is that first the manual process of either cutting out shapes to get my like kind of abstract organic looking shapes, or hand drawn elements, and then I mush it all together digitally to get my concept, and then I take it one step further and either paint it on murals or paint it on board or canvas. And for a long time I was like, I'm not a real artist. I plan too much, and I like sketch things out, and a real artist is super like all 100% intuitive. And I was just like, hang on a minute, like there's no rules, like that's the beauty of being an artist, there's no rules. So
you do it your way.
So I think once I let go of that horrendous little lie, I really kind of bloomed from there, and just started painting. And so hence I paint a lot of bigger works, and I struggle to paint anything smaller than success. I've painted like an A5.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
So
and you're starting to introduce some sort of objects, and is that a recent thing?
Yes. So I am exploring. I kind of felt really stuck in terms of like, I need to stay within the style that I've created or found myself in, that I've become known for. And then I essentially came into a creative block and was really struggling with just with everything from confidence and imposter syndrome to just not being able to paint and not being happy with any work, not being able to finish anything.
Really? And when was this, Jazz?
I mean, it's kind of been a little bit on and off, but mostly when I was coming back into work at the beginning of the year after having Otto, my second. So yeah, really kind of the from the beginning of the year until, I don't know, maybe May. So good kind of 5 months of just really being quite stuck.
And that imposter syndrome, which affects many artists.
I think almost everybody.
Yeah, I think so. In some form.
Yeah.
What do you think it was that sort of made you starting to feel like that?
My work was not selling as well as it had been, which is multifaceted, being the market has changed a lot recently. After everything opening up after COVID. But also I'd been on maternity leave and hadn't been creating, I was off social media for a couple of months and just really focusing on having a family. So all that momentum that I was feeling had kind of plateaued, which is, intentional. But I also realized how much worth I was getting from selling work, from completing projects, from completing work. And so I really had to kind of question, okay, where is my worth? Is my worth just in the next sale of an artwork? Because that's not really sustainable and it's too conditional.
Yeah, so true. And I think a lot of artists have found recently that the market, as you say, has really changed. A lot of artists are finding they're not selling their work in the same way. Well, New Zealand artists that I've spoken with, which is quite interesting because it was kind of on fire when it was COVID times, which is weird. And then things are sort of softening and settling down, which can be quite disorientating.
It's tough, I think. The media really saying, there's a recession or the cost of living, all that kind of stuff, very fear-based message that we're kind of being fed at the moment. And that's tough. And I think the worst thing you can do is, halt all your spending and freak out. And, you kind of got to keep supporting as much as you can, obviously, as long as it's sustainable for you. But it's hard.
Yeah. But that's great that you got through that. And I think that difficult time for you has obviously inspired quite a lot of things that you've actually started doing, like your ebook and even just the way that you're presenting yourself on your Instagram page. I think you're really kind of going there and letting your followers know what you've been through and what you're doing to work through it. So can you tell us about that?
Absolutely. So I felt like a little hesitant to be sharing about the creative block until I thought, well, if I'm going through this, then I can help other people as well. And I would much rather start showing more of who I am and being honest and open and genuine than just be this perfect polished person who's always selling work, who's always successful. I would way rather be just actually who I am. I love helping and I love talking, about struggles and being vulnerable and open. So I'm just trying to show a little bit more of that on social media. So I think in terms of creative block, what I've really been sharing that has resonated with a lot of other creatives is I think just my perspective that play is really important in your work. I was getting really focused on being productive or having to create only work that had an end product or was intended for sale, and that got me it just got me really stuck, and I lost that playful aspect. And so I started doing creative exercises that I have been actually posting on Instagram Reels, which has been helping a lot of people, but doing things were really unrelated to my current practice, like using a marker and a ruler and just working in black and white, or just kind of just trying to change things up so that I could, just loosen up and not have to create painting after painting like it was a production line, and really get that love for it back. And it's funny because I copy all my content over from Instagram, automatically post to Facebook. Instagram's really where my kind of community is, and Facebook is just automatic. Anyway, I jumped into my Facebook page the other day and realized that one of my reels had, I guess, gone viral. I don't really know, viral for me anyway. It was like, I don't know, maybe 35k views on Facebook, and there was a couple of comments on there. One was, "How old are you?" And another one was, "This looks like a child could do it." And I'm like, exactly, like this is exactly the point. Like, tap into that childhood, creativity and wonder. And I've been watching my kids, the way that they just play. Like Ivy the other day jumped in the studio next to me, and I was playing with texture and had a palette knife, and she asked if she could use it, and she was just like really like playing with how the texture was and how it responded to the palette knife. And I'm like, that is what I need to be doing. That play aspect of my practice had dissipated, and now I've introduced that back. And I think the key for me is realizing that my creativity is an exercise, like as a muscle that needs to be exercised and continually. Like you feed yourself every day, you also need to be feeding your creativity. And so totally. For me, since I've been doing that, oh my goodness, I have so many ideas. I'm so excited about jumping in the studio. So that's been really freeing for me.
That's so good. That. And it's nice to be able to share that kind of experience, because as you said, so many people feel it. And I think it's also about changing your mindset, because you do have that thing that I need to make work that's going to make money, and, you're self-employed. You feel like that is, as you said, a sort of representation of your worth. And so it is quite hard. I mean, I find the same. If you're wanting to do something that's kind of related and helping you, but it's actually not part of the actual money-making part of your business, it can be hard to really devote time to that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think once you realize that this is kind of a core need in your I guess artist persona, or as a creative, that you have to nurture that creativity, that it's just as important, as sleeping and eating and getting exercise, that you need to also be inputting into your creativity so that it is sustainable, in the future, that you're not always just production line cranking out work. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, totally. And you have created this ebook. So did that go alongside what you were doing on Instagram, or was that a result of that?
What happened? I just felt like I wanted to share what I had gone through to help other people. And so initially I started to write this ebook, and then out of that ebook and some of the research that I did and some of the books that I was reading, kind of came this real theme of play and exercising the creative muscle. And so that's when I started filming some of the stuff that I had been doing to kind of get back into that creative flow. And then so many people have found them so helpful, and all my top performing reels recently have all been those little creative exercises. And so it's obviously helping a lot of people.
And it's so accessible as well.
Exactly, yeah. So it's kind of, they're going hand in hand. The creative exercises are really have stemmed from that ebook that I've created. Yeah.
That's fascinating. I've always had it in my mind that I'd quite like to create an ebook. I don't know exactly what on, but just sharing some of my experience and knowledge. I've always kind of liked the idea.
What do you get asked about a lot? Like, what do people ask you?
It's probably things like, there's different areas. It'd be like how to start a podcast in New Zealand, although that's been done many times.
Yeah.
I even thought about maybe doing a course on that, but then I didn't really think there would be the market for it, probably. But then also, some of the projects I do in schools, how to get that going, how to get funding, how to build a brand. I also love the idea of business mentorship in some ways, small business, starting up a small business. I already have done a bit of mentoring with that. I love that. But, the idea of an ebook as a resource, because I see a lot of the work that I do, including the podcast, as an educational resource. So I felt like an ebook kind of would fit. But then I have no idea how to go about that. So can you talk a little bit about that process?
Absolutely. So I love it. I'm grateful for my kind of design background because I've got all the kind of know-how. And initially, I actually started creating it in InDesign and Adobe InDesign, and all the graphic designers are going to cringe, but I actually jumped ship over to Canva. So there's a lot of stigma attached to Canva in the graphic design realm. You often get called a Canva cowboy because anyone can use it, but it's actually so great and so helpful.
Did you swap over because it felt easier to use?
Just faster, way more efficient, way faster. And for what I was doing, it was not. I don't know.
And was Canva supplying you with the sort of the branding and the colors and the formats and designs for each page?
So the templates, you can get templates on there, like on Canva, they supply you with templates. However, I've also got another little side hustle which I'm working on at the moment. I love having like lots of different streams of income, and I get excited about new ideas. So I'm actually collaborating with a girl down in Nelson, and she's got an amazing audience on TikTok. And I spotted a gap in the Etsy market, and so I'm creating a whole bunch of templates for ebooks and for lead magnets and that kind of thing. So if you want one, I can send you one.
Yeah, that's amazing. So that's another thing that you are getting into, which it staggers me how much you've got going on. So the ebook, it was all about helping artists who have creative block. And how do you go about writing that?
So I wrote down, I just brain dumped like everything that was in my head, everything that I had learned from all the books that I've been reading. I read a couple of really great books, and what were they? So anything by Austin Kleon. I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but he wrote Show Your Work and Steal Like an Artist. So they get brought up all the time, which is great. I'm reading Rick Rubin's The Creative Act at the moment.
Yeah.
So just kind of brain dumped everything, got it out of my head, and then I actually used ChatGPT to help me expand on each one of the little ideas that I had to help me write it. So I kind of like wrote it all out and then copy and pasted it, and I just asked ChatGPT, can you please rewrite this? And it just rewrote it like, my raw kind of thoughts.
Really?
And then yeah, it just rewrote it for me.
Wow. So what is ChatGPT?
Oh gosh.
Oh my God. There's so many things we've got to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to be here all day. So ChatGPT is from OpenAI, and it is a little bot that you chat to, and you can ask it questions, and it's been trained on pretty much anything on the internet prior to maybe 2020, I think. So it doesn't have internet access, but it knows lots of things.
Wow.
So you can train your chatbot to talk like you and to understand you. So I gave it my website and like, here, this is my website. Please learn about me. I'm an artist and this is what I do. This is how I talk. And yeah. So yeah, I trained it.
It's a form of AI.
Yes, yeah, form of AI. So yeah, like text AI. So yeah, it just came out and helped me write the whole thing. So I for example, I was talking about, so creative block, there's a need for play, and what are 3 different ways that I can incorporate play into my practice. And then it comes out with, you can incorporate play in your practice by changing your medium or changing some of the variables in your practice, maybe try and use some markers, or try and use some, spray paint, or use oils if you use acrylic, that sort of thing. So it'll just come out with blah, 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 blah. Or, yeah, it's so crazy.
That is crazy. I mean, I think that you're in some ways quite brave to say that you're using this app. And I know that this is just going to be what people do. This is the beginning of AI, but there's still that resistance, and there's still
Definitely.
People not really understanding it, or not valuing it, or thinking that there's less value of the person if they use it. So, it's great that you're putting it out there.
There's a lot of people that are scared of AI. And I understand it. I get it as well. I was a little hesitant too. But I thought, well, either I learn how to use it so that I'm not scared, and then I can be, I'm not going to be left behind because I'm too scared to use it. That's what I was like, well, what's the worst that's going to happen? It's going to help me. So I use it quite a lot, almost every day in my business now, just to help me. So my husband has ADHD, and he often uses it to help, like, break down tasks, or like, hey, ChatGPT, how do I clean the house? Help me clean the house. So it'll break down like all the tasks, start by doing this, and then go on to this. And so that's really helpful for him. But yeah, I will use it in so many different facets. The other side hustle that I have is creating AI imagery. So I was buying a lot of stock imagery for mocking up my work onto like blank walls, so that I could, use that imagery to market my work, put on Instagram and my website. And I just, like, I loved some of the ones that I was using, but I wanted to create some of my own. And so I've been using AI to create some of my own. And then I started getting comments of like, where are you getting these from? I'm like, oh, I'm making them. Well, I want to buy some. Where can I buy some? So I created an Etsy store, and literally every day I'm getting sales off my Etsy store for these mock-ups that I'm creating for artists, like very much targeted for artists, because I know what I want, so other people want that too.
Yeah, that is incredible. So you're creating like a scene in a room with one of your paintings in there. Is that right?
Yeah, so I'll make like a blank wall, and then I'll Photoshop in my work. Or I've also got frames that people can use like ready-made frames and they can put in their work, which is a lot quicker for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and are they able to be put into like a house environment as well? Is that part of it?
Yeah. So it's like an interior room that it looks like it's been photographed in a really beautifully styled place, but it's all just AI.
And how do you source those interior images? I've just got no idea.
It's okay. How do I make them? So again, I'm training AI with some and learning. It's a language, right? So I'm as much training the AI as I'm learning how to speak AI, and how to get the images that I want using their language. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Wow. And it must be so interesting seeing what it comes up with.
Yes. Oh, it's so much fun. I love it. I really love it.
Yeah. And then how do people purchase? I mean, do they purchase the AI image and then they can put their own artwork in place of your artwork?
So I will, so there's just like placeholder, like a blank white frame. So what I do, the image that I get from AI, I will bring into Photoshop. I will, sometimes, very rarely, the image quality is a little bit off, so I'll need to like get an upscaler to make the quality much better. But usually most of it I can do in Photoshop. Sometimes it comes up with some weird stuff, like I was doing people the other day for fashion mock-ups, and she came out with like 3 legs and like, yeah. And so having to like Photoshop out some weird stuff sometimes. And so tidy everything up, clean it all up, make sure all the like color balancing stuff is right, making sure everything's square, and then photoshopping out the artwork that the AI has generated, and then making it like a clear, like a blank white frame, and then putting it in Photoshop, like making it a proper, it's called, getting really technical now, but making it a smart object so that people can really quickly just come into Photoshop, double click, add the art, copy and paste, save, done.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a bit of work involved, but technically I really like that stuff. So I think sometimes I fantasize about being like a really true artist, of like, I hate using technology and all I want to do is paint. That is totally not who I am. I have a really strong, like, strategic, technical side to me, which I have really embraced recently and am using that to my strengths. And I also have the like creative side. So I'm a real like blend of both. And I'm only just in the last couple of years really understanding how to make that work for me and playing both of those sides.
Yeah. And it's incredible what you are achieving. I mean, you're such a proactive person, and you're obviously super busy, but you, like we were saying earlier, you do like a new project and sort of nutting out how to make that happen, which I feel I'm a bit the same in ways. But so you've got all of these different things happening, which is amazing. And, you know, you're incredibly entrepreneurial.
Thank you. Yeah.
And that is something that a lot of artists struggle with. But it's almost like you're kind of combining all these different elements of a creative world and feeding all your sort of passions and interests. And, you know, it must just be a really good feeling for you.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really proud of what I am building and what I've created. It's also been really intentional. I think Kenrick and I are very involved in each other's businesses, and we've also, Kenrick is my husband, we're chalk and cheese. He's so outgoing, so extroverted, he's all over the place, and I'm like kind of consistent, strategic, analytical, grounded, chill. And so we really kind of, it can be difficult, but we also work really well as a team. And I think we assessed me coming into my art business, how we were going to make that work for my personality, because one of the things I was really fearful of when I stopped my clothing brand was working for myself again. And I was really worried, like, last time was a failure, which it wasn't a failure, it was an experiment.
An experience.
Yeah, and I've learned so much from it. So from that whole experience, I have learned, like, okay, so I'm an introvert. I want to work from home. I have created my studio to be my quiet place, my happy place, a place that kind of fills my cup. And that's been, really important that I work from home and alone. It's my little retreat. So that's been intentional, I don't have a studio space with other people because my life is full at home of, two really young kids, both quite outgoing, very outgoing husband. So, yeah.
That's your retreat.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And also I've structured my whole business around my values. This is actually another ebook that I want to create.
Very good.
So some of my values are flexibility. So I want to be able to go and pick up my kids if they're sick at daycare, and I want to be close by to them. I want flexibility of time. Like, one of our family dreams is to take the kids and go and live somewhere for 6 to 12 months when they're, probably by the time they're maybe at school, or at least Ivy's at school. Revenue is one of my values for my business. That's important, that I am making money. So that kind of comes out in that I like to have lots of different income streams, so that, say right now, when my paintings are not selling quite like they used to, that I've got other things like my Etsy shop, like my mock-ups, like my templates that I'm working on now, that I've got so many other things going on, that I've got my circus pattern design stuff that I always work on. So yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And then the other value I have is relationship, which is really important for me, like real, genuine relationships with people, that I want to be honest and have integrity and have that kind of community, which I've really found in Instagram, and I really love it. I love that kind of community, artist community, and I can tap into it when I want to, being an introvert.
It is a very interesting combination, though, isn't it? Of you thinking of yourself as an introvert, but the person that you present on Instagram feels like an extrovert. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And even just the fact that you're very comfortable videoing yourself and talking to the camera, and you establish a really beautiful, authentic relationship with your followers and your audience because you're so real. But I just wonder how that is for someone who's kind of introverted, but then is also kind of giving out a lot in a sort of extroverted way in some ways.
So I think a lot of it is practice, getting comfortable in front of like the camera and that sort of thing. You also only see like a really small fraction of like what I film. So when I do film stuff, I'm like, the first minute is just like super awkward. Like I've done a couple of bloopers reels sometimes, and you can see some of the like really awkward stuff that I do, and a lot of it's like kind of staring out the window. But I think practice has been, you get more comfortable with it. And I talk like I'm talking to like you or to a friend or whatever. And I think about the intent of like, I want to help someone else. And I think that makes it like a lot more genuine, I guess. Yeah.
And it is something that artists, full-time artists, often feel like they don't have time for, or some artists do put aside the time. But I guess that's the great thing about your creative practice, as it has so many different elements. It's not just creating your fine art paintings. So it's kind of, that's one of the elements of the business.
It is, and it's really worked for me. Like Instagram, I get a lot of work through Instagram. I've had a lot of collabs through Instagram, and I've embraced it. Like a lot of people kind of hate the social media side of things, but I really enjoy it. I really enjoy, I try and put parameters around it. Like I try not to film everything I'm doing, but I also will just, set up, if I'm going to paint, I'll just set up the camera and just film the whole lot. And yes, it takes lots of storage, but then I'm not like chopping and changing and, worrying about filming and stuff. And I try, especially the talking videos or whatever, I'll try and batch a lot of that content. So mostly it's a practical thing that I only have to wear makeup like once or twice a week.
Yeah, which is good. But it feels like you have so much going on. I just can't really imagine how you fit it into your busy life with a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old.
Yes. It gets overwhelming some days. Some days I'm like, oh man, I have way too much going on. I am a bit of a spreadsheet geek and like love my lists. So just a really good trusted list. I use Trello for everything. So I kind of have that the structure that I have around my work. I don't think I would be able to be doing so many things if I didn't have it like all out of my head. So I think that's the key. But yeah, sometimes I feel like I've bitten off a little bit more than I can chew.
I can imagine. And do you find at nighttime you're like, oh God, I have to edit that video, and you must be working at night?
Am I working at night? I try and limit to like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. Because otherwise Kenrick gets a little bit like, hey buddy, like what about me?
Yeah.
Which is fair,
Yeah.
I think if it wasn't for him, I would probably be working most nights because I don't feel like it's work. I love it and I froth off it. And I think I've got to be careful to put boundaries around not working all the time because I just find everything that I do so fulfilling.
Yes, that's so good though, isn't it? How amazing.
Oh, it's amazing. And I think like that all comes out in my work and it all comes out in social media that I do just love what I'm doing. But I've also weeded out the things that if something is not working for me, then I'll kind of phase that out. And, like I did graphic design for a little while doing branding, and I got approached by a beautiful company down in I think Wanaka, and they're like, do you want to subcontract some of your work, we can give you some projects. And I'm like I love your work and I'd love to work with you, but that's just not where I'm at right now. Don't want to do the graphic design stuff for branding right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And then you don't have as much ownership over what you're doing as actually. Yeah. And that's a great thing about being self-employed. You do what you love to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, hopefully. Yeah.
Yes.
That's the intention.
Yeah, exactly. And there's always things that have to be done that you're not going to like. Like I don't love doing all the admin, and I did our end of year financial accounts last week and that was draining. But it's such a small portion and I just always try and reward myself at the end. Like as soon as I get this done, I'm going to go in the studio and I'm going to mess around with some paint or some texture or, yeah.
Yeah. And then you, as you said, you've done quite a lot of collaborations with different companies like Kathmandu and Bolt of Cloth, which I love. And then Nine and other companies. And then you've also appeared on Your Home and Garden and other publications, and you've been on quite a few podcasts. Unfortunately, mine's not the first. But, you're so good on that level also, on that sort of taking it even further than social media and just making these connections with companies where your work could work, I guess, and also, doing things like podcasts that aren't necessarily easy to help kind of promote what you're doing. So how do you manage all of that kind of extra marketing and involvement with other people?
Great question. That all of that you've just said is all such an important side to my business. And I treat it with, a lot of respect in terms of collaborations have really become an important kind of cornerstone to my business. It's kind of how it started really with contracting back to Nine was sort of that first collaboration that I did, with them in the earlier days. And then I just kind of kept following that model. And in terms of if I approach a company or if I get approached or a brand or a podcast, it's kind of about half-half. Like John Sands saw my collaboration with Bolt of Cloth. They're like, hey, your designs are beautiful. We think they go really well on greeting cards and gift wrap and gift bags. And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Like, why the heck not? And it's really amazing to be able to be working with some international brands. And when Kathmandu messaged me, I think they found me on Instagram. So hence, I think Instagram is really important, for my marketing, and it's largely free, which is amazing. And then they contacted me, and this was like, I can't remember how many followers I've got on Instagram, something like 16K or something. But when Kathmandu approached me, I think I only had maybe 3,000 or 4,000 followers. So it's not like they were wanting me because I had this big Instagram following. It was like they actually just genuinely liked my work, which was amazing. And yeah, just these collaborations I treat really importantly. And I think I want to kind of approach a couple of other bigger brands this year because I'm excited for another one. It's been a little while.
That's so exciting.
Yeah.
And once you've done a few, I imagine that kind of gets the ball rolling a bit and sort of encourages other companies possibly to come on board. So what were you doing for Kathmandu?
So Kathmandu approached me. So each season they collaborate with an artist and they create a couple of placement prints for t-shirts. So I think they did 3 or 4 prints with me, and a signature print, so like an all over printed piece. So I kind of gave them 3 options, 2 concepts, and they chose one concept and we sort of developed that, and then I handed over the artwork to them. But they also work with, because I've got that textile design background, I knew how to make a repeat for them. But they also do collaborate with illustrators and artists and to create, and then their team will make it into like something that's printable.
Well, that's such a good resource for them to have you understand the business.
A bonus,
total bonus. And then it's like a fee, they pay you for that print, and then that's the end of that.
So with surface pattern design you can get paid in a few different ways. So some of it's royalty based, so you don't get paid until the product, whatever it is, starts selling, and then you get either like monthly or quarterly. You get can you please invoice us for X amount. So I'm still getting royalties from work that I've completed a couple of years ago, which is incredible. There's been one piece of artwork that has been applied to I don't know how many pieces to license to multiple different companies, and that one piece of artwork has made me over $10,000 within the lifetime of me creating that piece. There's also been artworks that I've created that have for licensing that haven't been picked up at all. So yeah, you never really kind of know which ones are going to be best sellers.
That's another part of your business, isn't it?
It's a really important part, and I like that I like that I do the work once and then it's kind of recurring revenue, over and over and over.
And that's the famous passive income concept, which sort of is a funny one. You do the work at the beginning and then it just over time keeps ticking over.
Yes, and it's a huge part. I love that facet of my business that I'm still getting, money from projects in the past. I'll get companies that want to relicense work. Hey, we've had this for a year. We want to relicense it because it's selling really well. This is the fee. I'm like, great, cool, let's do it. Like, of course.
So good.
Yeah. So yeah, that's been a really important part of my business in terms of a success. I'm actually working on a course with Monique Story over in Sydney. Just working on a course about like surface pattern design and how to license artwork, because it can be quite difficult if you don't have that technical background, how to get your art onto products. So that's going to be fun.
Is that going to be a course or online course?
Yeah, online course, yeah.
Could be another ebook.
Maybe. I will definitely do the presentation slides for it. And I'm sure the ebook that goes along with it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I feel like you've just got so much that you could still achieve. Like you've got this incredible base and this amazing stuff that you're already doing. But I feel like you could just, I can imagine that you're going to achieve so much in the future. What are you thinking?
That's the plan for sure. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I love ideas. I would love to have some cool collabs with some bigger brands. Well, not that you can get that much bigger than Kathmandu, but like your Gorman or something like that. That's a big dream. Shoes, love to get my work onto some shoes, that sort of thing. So like I love the collabs. It's such a cool when you see your work on a product, is such an amazing feeling. So definitely collabs. The template side of things that I mentioned, the like kind of ebook templates and just a whole bunch of different templates, that's key for me. That's what I'm working on right now and I'm super excited about it. And yeah, in terms of AI, I'm excited where AI is going and how I can use it to be helpful within my own business. And I don't know, maybe that can be another ebook, how to
I think
how to use AI in a way that's actually going to help your business.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of like kind of fear around there of like, AI can generate artwork, we're going to be replaced, or so, but just using it in a way that can actually help you be more productive.
Yeah, and there definitely is a need for that because it's such a new concept, and there's a lot of people aren't quite sure how they can use it. It sounds like what you're doing with it is just such an amazing use of the app, but also of your time.
It's helped me be more efficient, and I don't think that I would be doing what I am doing without AI, to be honest. Like it helps me structure my days and kind of pull out all my thoughts and all that kind of thing, and helps me write social media captions sometimes, like I know what I want to say, but getting it out of my head is kind of the hardest thing. So again, these are the things I want to, I'm a big like list person, like bullet points. Here are my bullet points. Now make it into a sentence.
So Jazz, you have very kindly offered the people who are listening to the Creative Matters podcast, and I guess the people who are listening to this particular episode, you have offered them an exciting giveaway, which is our very first giveaway on the podcast, which is amazing. So can you tell us about that, please?
Absolutely. So I want to help some of you guys who are struggling with creative block. If you have kind of liked the sound of my ebook, I would love to give away some copies for free. if you shoot me a direct message on Instagram, which we will link somewhere, and use the code word artist block, I will send you a copy for free.
Good.
Just flick me your email address when you message me.
And do you have a limit of ones that you can give away?
I don't know. What do you think, Mandy?
Oh, that's a big question.
Maybe we'll cap it at like 20.
Yeah, 20 sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, cool. So the first 20 people in get this amazing resource from Jazz, which is very generous. Thank you.
Welcome.
And that brings us to our last questions. So what would you say to your younger artistic self?
My younger artistic self. In the beginning of my kind of artistic journey, I really battled with the whole I need to have a style. And I think what I really what was really freeing for me was understanding that, hey, my style was actually already within me. It's what I'm gravitating towards. It's the kind of lines that I draw, the mediums that I use, and that it's okay to explore a lot of different styles and to study other artists, and also that your work can evolve. Like my work used to be really really a lot of clean lines and really organized, whereas I'm starting to explore some other styles of like iconography and just bringing like even abstract, kind of bringing more abstract into my work, and that it's okay to have a couple of different styles going on. I think I was like, oh, I can't explore any other styles because this is me, like this is what I've become known for. And now understanding like actually artists evolve and people evolve, and it's okay to have a whole bunch of different styles going on. Like the common denominator is you. And yeah, that's been freeing.
That's great. And who are your favorite artists and why?
So first mural artists that I kind of explored were Alan Rutt and Alex Probar. They're both based in the States, and they create really beautiful kind of abstract murals, and that's always inspired me. And I think you can probably see like that my work is inspired by them if you go and have a look at what they do. Someone who's really kind of different to what I do is Ash Holmes. She's in Australia, and I love her work. She's just so clever with the way that she uses color and texture, and she's also actually done a couple of murals, which is amazing. I just always had that kind of origin of the mural work that originally inspired me to paint. And then New Zealand artists, you've had actually on the podcast Lucy Rice. I love Lucy's work, just the way that she works with colour and texture, and the way that she thinks and layers her work is just beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
That's
and
so
we
beautiful.
Actually message quite a lot on Instagram. We've kind of become friends. We have a mutual friend, Patrina Jose, who's also an incredible painter, who I actually used to work with at Pumpkin Patch. And she's got a graphic design background as well. So we often message about things like that too. So,
I can see a connection with your work and Lucy's in some ways. I mean, she's got sort of much looser, maybe more organic sort of feel, but there's some sort of connection between your work.
I love her. Everything she puts out, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could buy that.
And she's such a beautiful person.
Yeah, she's such a lovely, lovely soul.
Yeah, she really is.
Beautiful energy. Yeah. And then the last New Zealand artist that I'd love to mention is Nadia Flower. She's an illustrator, and she's just so clever in what she does, and she's had some really incredible collaborations as well overseas. She was flown to China to sit in one of the in one of the stores over there and like personalize like leather bags and shoes and that kind of thing. Like she's got these really cool characters that she draws a lot in black and white. But she's amazing and being really helpful. I've picked her brain a number of times and she's super, super helpful, very clever. Yeah.
And as an artist, what would you say is your biggest challenge?
Probably balancing out my personality and my needs. Like, as I mentioned a few times, like I'm an introvert. I need that time to myself to be okay. And I think the second one, I couldn't choose one, is decision making, how to make decisions within my business. And I've kind of come up with a framework because I'm a spreadsheet geek. I've come up with a little bit of a framework of like how I make decisions now. And it's really like drawing on those values that I have on my business. I think once I became clear on my values, then I'm like, everything gets a little bit easier. So yeah, that decision making is hard. I'm a strategic kind of person, but the flip side of that is like I see all the options.
Yeah.
And then it's like actually choosing an option is decision paralysis is my nemesis.
And what drives you to make the kind of work that you're making or do the kind of work that you do?
It's really about my why, like what my why is. And I think for me is that flexibility of time, of being able to, work around having a young family and building my business to function in a way that can support me being flexible with my young family and but also with location. Like, if I want to travel with the kids later on when they're a bit older, we can do that. Just having that flexibility of how we want to kind of live our life a little bit less like rigid.
And it feels like having all those elements of the business which you have kind of feeds all of your personality traits in some ways. You've got the graphic design and the pattern design and the textile references and the painting and the geeky spreadsheet frameworks. And, it's almost like and that's a beautiful thing about creating a business like this, that you have so many elements that it would never get repetitive.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the key, is like this works for me, for my personality, and it's not going to look like this for most other people, but really getting into like, this works for me, this is serving me, this makes sense for my personality, my energy levels, and that's how it's going to be sustainable and successful. And yeah.
Wow. On that note, Jasmine, thank you very, very much for being on the podcast. I know you're obviously incredibly busy, so thank you for squeezing us into your schedule. And I've found this talk so inspiring and has made me kind of think of things that I possibly could consider with what I do. And thank you very, very much for being on the Creative Matters podcast.
Thank you for having me. It's just been so great, and I'm a little bit sad it's over.
I know, me too. We could talk all day. Love it. Thank you, Jazz.
So welcome.